Welcome to the endocrine system. Now, the endocrine system is composed of ductless glands which produce hormones. Now, these hormones are actually your chemical body messengers. Your hormones control and will affect many different functions as well as the body's internal organs. It can actually affect how the organ behaves. So each gland will produce specific hormones, and the function of the endocrine system is linked to the nervous system. So let's look in more detail what a hormone actually is. It's a chemical messenger which is secreted directly into the blood by a particular gland. Your hormones can be made up of proteins, they can be made up of steroids, and they can even be made up of derivatives of amino acids. Your hormones are produced in the gland and then are transported directly to that area or organ that they need to control or affect. So an endocrine gland is a ductless gland and it produces the hormones. It's ductless because it means there's no separate canal or tube to transport the hormones to the blood. So your hormones travel directly into the bloodstream from the gland itself. So what the hormones then do is that they affect the behaviour and function of different areas of the body and overall how the body will work. So the hormones in themselves are responsible for the correct growth, changes that happen to the body during puberty, pregnancy, menopause, menstrual cycle. Hormones will also determine how you will respond to stress and any danger, and it corrects the proper functioning of the kidneys and the digestive system. You will have in your work pack the main glands of the body, and you'll be looking at the location and actually the hormones that secrete it. So it will explain the function and the malfunction. If there is too much hormone that's being produced, it's known as hypersecretion, and if it's too little, it's known as hyposecretion, and this can actually cause the organ and the hormone to malfunction. So you'll be looking at the pituitary gland, which is located at the base of the brain. You'll be looking at the thyroid gland, which is either side of the neck. You'll be looking at the parathyroid gland, which there are 4, 2 either side behind the thyroid gland. You'll be looking at the adrenal glands, which is one on top of each kidney. It's split into 2 parts. You have the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. Then you'll be looking at the pancreas, which is behind and slightly below the stomach, between the duodenum and the spleen. You'll be looking at the ovaries, which are located either side of the uterus, or the testes, which is within the scrotum, the pineal body, which is at the centre of the brain, and the thymus, which is in the thorax. Now let's look at the role of sex hormones. So puberty is at the age at which the internal reproductive organs of the boys and girls will reach maturity and become functional. Although the effect of these organs will not be seen, the effect of the rest of the body can. So it normally happens around secondary school age. So the average age for girls to reach puberty is between 10 to 14, and boys is aged between 13 and 16. So in girls, the ovaries are stimulated by your 2 hormones, your FSH and your LH hormone. These are known as your gonadotropins and are secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. They have the following effects. So your uterus and fallopian tubes will reach maturity and become functional. Ovulation and the menstrual cycle will begin. Growth of pubic and axillary hair. You have glandular tissue in the breast that will enlarge and develop. You will increase in height and the pelvic width will widen, increasing the amount of subcutaneous fat. In boys, the same gonadotropins are produced, so your follicle stimulating hormone and your luteinizing hormone, the LH, although in men it's called your interstitial cell stimulating hormone, which is your ICSH, and it stimulates the testes to produce your testosterone. The effects that will be seen are the growth of muscle and bone, noticeable height increase, voice breaks and the larynx enlarges, growth of pubic, facial, axillary hair as well as abdominal and chest hair, sexual organs develop, the seminiferous tubules in the testes will produce testosterone and sperm, and they will become functional and semen will be produced, and sperm production will begin. Let's look at the menstrual cycle now then. So this lasts for approximately 5 days. Progesterone produced by the corpus luteum enters the bloodstream and the pituitary gland responds by producing the less lutein hormone. Now this reduction in hormone means the corpus luteum begins to break down. The progesterone levels will then fall, which stops the endometrium from holding fluid and it starts to break down as well. The menstruation begins as a result of the breakdown of the endometrium. Your menstrual flow contains mucus secretions, cells lining the uterus, blood from broken capillaries, and the unfertilised ovum. You have a second phase, which lasts for approximately 7 days. The FSH hormone is produced in the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, and it stimulates the follicles of the ovaries to produce estrogen. These follicles are small structures on the surface of the ovary. The estrogen then stimulates the endometrium, which is the lining of the womb, to promote the growth of new blood vessels and mucus-producing cells. At the end of this stage, ovulation occurs. A mature Graafian follicle ruptures, releasing a single egg, which will travel along the fallopian tube to the uterus. Then we reach the third stage, which lasts approximately 14 days. The LH hormone is secreted into the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. This will stimulate the ruptured follicle lining to grow into the corpus luteum. This is a temporary structure formed by the effect of the hormone on the ruptured ovarian follicle. The corpus luteum produces progesterone, which stimulates the endometrium to retain fluid and produce mucus. This makes it easier for sperm to pass through the reproductive tract. After ovulation, the egg can then be fertilised during the next 12 to 48 hours. If it is not fertilised, the menstrual phase will begin. Now, as soon as the progesterone levels drop as a result of the collapse of the corpus luteum and the endometrium, the pituitary gland starts the production of the FSH again. This stimulates the ovaries to produce another follicle and another ovum, and the cycle will begin again. So once the start of the menstruation has passed, menstruation only stops in 3 instances: amenorrhea, pregnancy, and the menopause. So in the menopause, a woman can technically speaking bear children as long as she's menstruating. The reproductive period lasts around 35 years until the ovary supply is exhausted. Women are born with a certain number of eggs, and these will run out and the menopause will begin. The average age is between 45 to 55, and it takes an average of 5 years to complete. During this period, the hormonal changes that begin with puberty will actually be reversed. So the ovaries will gradually stop responding to FSH and LH, and the reduction in these hormones will cause irregular menstrual cycles, shrunken breasts, less hair growth on the body, hot flushes and sweats, palpitations, and also can cause unpredictable behaviour. Many of these symptoms on the menopause will be alleviated by the use of hormone replacement therapy. You'll be looking and studying the diseases and disorders or the pathologies of the endocrine system as a research activity.